Good morning. Welcome to Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel. Chris Lee joined by Jay Greeson. We are giving you our power rankings for SEC football entering week 13. Before we get there, a reminder, we're brought to you by our friends at GameTime SIDEKICKS, which is officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. Every SEC school, 350 other universities, stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 gets you 20% off your entire order at GameTimeSidekicks.com. We got Jay Greeson with us. That's Jay Greeson, fresh off a haircut. Happy Monday.
All right. Happy Monday to you. Are you a barber, a chain guy, or do you have a stylist?
Barber.
Okay.
I'm the only white guy at the barbershop half the time I'm there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You want to like Midas touch from Coming to America.
Where the dude that cuts my hair is from Detroit, and he knows his stuff.
Joe Louis was 136 years old when he lost Rocky Marciano.
Exactly, it's one of
those. I don't know how old he was, but he got his ass whipped.
And it's hysterical, by the way. It is everything you would hope it would be.
All right. Look, man. I've had the same haircut for like 35 years. So, with the exception, I had a COVID mullet. And it was glorious. And I look like a pro wrestler. At the time I was 6'4", 260 with blonde flowing mullet locks. But I go to Great Clips down the bottom of the mountain here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. When in the hell did Great Clips become a $25 damn haircut?
Everything's more expensive, my man.
I mean, damn. Damn. I mean, forget price of gas, forget the $4.75 for a dozen eggs. And I'm not getting soapboxy because I know everybody's here for the rankings and I'm all for it. But when they put that, and don't even get me started on, you talked about some tangential stuff, the automatic assumed tip on a credit card drives me flipping batty. Never mind, like, I boycotted Starbucks many years ago, but my daughter loves their strawberry lemonade refreshers, and they're just assuming tips, but pretty much for just opening the sliding window in the drive-through.
I know. Well, you could get me started on that, but I won't because we got to get started on power rankings.
All right, fair enough. You gave me 2 minutes to rant, and I appreciate it.
I mean, I could go on with you, but people are here for the rankings. We're starting with Arkansas at 16. Boy, close but no cigar. That is the Razorbacks theme for 2025. That's all I got.
I'm real curious to see what Bobby Petrino does next.
He'll be an OC somewhere.
Will he?
I would think. Or a head coach.
With that many. Look, man, he's made enough money. Bobby Petrino should go convince somebody at a power high school program and walk out his days scoring 70 a game on Friday nights.
Yeah. I mean, if you love football, you could do worse than that. Their losses, let's see. Arkansas close losses this season. 1 point to Memphis, 3 points to Tennessee, 3 points to A&M, 3 points to Mississippi State, and 1 point to LSU. Goodness gracious. 2 wins.
Sam brings up a great point, and I know I don't want to get too deep into the weeds because we've got a whole bunch of teams with playoff aspirations. With the growing heat on Shane Beamer's door, the failed experiment that was Mike Shula, although do you bring in a guy who may have sabotaged Sam Pittman as you're about to enter a hot seat year?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that personality mix either. But like if people are robots, then sure, that works. Moving on to 15, speaking of whom. Yeah. Gamecocks, my goodness. That is going to be one that's going to give you nightmares for years.
That's on Beamer. That's on Beamer because, look, man, there are a handful of things you can do amazingly well as the leader of a football program. The most important thing you can do on Saturdays has nothing to do with calling plays and has nothing to do with about starting rosters. It has to do with exuding confidence. And, I mean, look at how Georgia played in the second half with the way Kirby just, pummeled and willed Georgia to a better place. And every sideline shot we saw of Beamer was,
yeah. He spent all his emotion yelling at the crowd going into the locker room.
Well, either light into your team, go fight the damn Texas State trooper who pushed Nick Harbor do something that gets your – look, the difference was Beamer was Patrick from SpongeBob. And Marcel Reed, after the worst half of football, maybe since Jamie Howard was the quarterback at LSU in '94 in Auburn, Alabama, where he threw like 4 pick sixes. Marcel Reed, after the first touchdown in the second half, and you and I talked about this on the recap show on Saturday. Look, dude, he got everybody there, and everybody was listening to him. And he was the reason they were in a 30-3 hole. And then he was the reason they got out of it.
Yeah. That is one of the weirdest games I'll ever see. Speaking of weird, number 14 Auburn, I ranked Auburn higher. I think that Iron Bowl game in a couple weeks is absolutely fascinating. And in the meantime, Auburn had a bye week and then a kind of a practice game with Mercer coming up. I think the Iron Bowl is going to be super, super interesting.
A lot of people are wondering, Jay, why are you so energized? Because I did not have to spend the emotional energy of watching how Auburn was going to figure out a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of it. So, look, I got a good night's sleep Sunday. Hugh Freeze is out of my life. It is honestly, they removed the tumor. So everything feels better at this point. And they'll beat Mercer, and knowing Auburn's MO, they may beat Mercer 27-21. But you're 100% right now. Bama better make certain they show up to play, because Jordan Hare is going to be a nut house.
Yeah, I think I just think it's a complete reboot now. It like you said, I think they got the cancer out of the building. The offense looked completely different. The defense, we know the talent's there. I just think this is a much different team going forward than it left off with Hugh Freeze.
Sam, I completely agree. I've now talked myself into and now out of DJ Durkin being the head coach, but I don't think it's a complete reboot. Your recruiting has been gangbusters, so keep some of the recruiting staff in tow and find a head coach who can get along with DJ Durkin as your DC and give that dude $3 million a year.
Yeah.
Oh, Salty Soda just quotes some kindergarten cop. It's not a tumor. Hey, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina, you know? And sometimes it's just that easy.
All right, let's go. Number 13, Mississippi State. It is starting to slip for State. What is that? 6 straight losses? Yeah, yards given up in those. 466 to Tennessee, 479 to A&M, 452 to Florida, 428 to Texas, 433 to Arkansas, and 567 to Georgia. Yards per rushing play, sack adjusted. Tennessee 4.6, A&M 5.7, Florida 5.7, Texas 3.7, Arkansas 3.6. Oh, I forgot to put Missouri in there. Missouri had a back that ran for 300 on them too, so it gets even worse.
I just really like the Felix and Oscar dynamic that we can just ease into with no show prep, because I just unloaded the great kindergarten cop reference, and then your next conversation was about sack adjusted stuff, and I'm thinking we could all be kind of some on the same page.
Right, it just works sometimes.
It does.
Yeah, look, but I mean, the point I was making is they're not winning games because their defense is atrocious, and particularly their road defense.
All right, 70. I'm gonna disagree with you that Levy seat's getting warm, because look, I understand the hot seat, and 3 years in this modern age is 5 years or 7 years in previous generations in terms of coaching pressure. But unless they get beat 56-3 in the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State and Jeff Lebby have overachieved. So don't let the last month of everybody taking them seriously, because look, they were still in one-score games until they went to a Missouri team and we talked about it last week. What does Mississippi State do poorly? They stop the run poorly. What does Missouri do well? They run the football down your throat. And that was rubber meeting road. I mean, on a week that I lost like the second semester of my son's first year of college on my FanDuel account, I'm kicking myself that I didn't pick Missouri.
Yeah, we'll get to the Tigers later. I've got some interesting stuff about them, but yeah, problem for State now. You get to face Kewan Lacey, who just ran for 230-ish. So, yeah. But you do get, let's see, do they have a week off? I think they do. Yeah, they've got a bye week. So, probably much needed given the shape of that defense. But, you know, they had, when was their other bye week? They were, okay, that was all the way back October 4th. So, it's been a minute. You played, what, 6, 7 games in a row? 6.
Yeah.
5, whatever. I can't count today. Anyway, we spent enough time there. Moving forward, let's go to Florida at 12. The Gators got maybe, but box score dominated were the Gators, but Sachs kept them in it and just could not make the plays at the end.
Come on, Trey. Chris isn't making a 6-7 joke.
I did. I didn't mean to. No, there have been times I have meant to. I've got a 14-year-old girl in the house, so trust me, I know all about that.
All right. SEC tangential here. Did you see the highlight clip of the Oklahoma women's basketball game over the weekend? Someone played at like 2:00 on a Friday afternoon.
Oh no, that wasn't Oklahoma, but I did see it.
There were elementary school kids everywhere, and then all of a sudden they're at the foul line. The score is 6-6. They've got like 66 points, and all the kids start going nuts and doing the whole number. And girl made a free throw, and the place went bonkers. It was awesome. But look, I think this is too high for Florida. I think Ole Miss played with their food a little bit and push Florida around. Does Lagway portal? And moreover, do you want Lagway if you're quarterback shopping?
Yeah, those are good questions. I mean, I still think you have to consider the fact that he was hurt in the offseason. Mike Bratton brought this up on his show yesterday. He was hurt, didn't practice. I think that leaves a mark. We practice for a reason, right? I can't help but think that hurt him this year. So maybe a reboot with Florida, somebody else helps him. Gosh, Florida's played since the bye week after Miami, beat Texas, lost to A&M, didn't play particularly well, beat Mississippi State, lost to Georgia but played well, got boat raced to Kentucky, and played fairly well at Ole Miss. So effort's been there more often than not for whatever that's worth. The results just haven't, and they also have faced the toughest schedule in the country, which we warned about going in. Number 11, Kentucky. Speaking of playing well, the Cats now have played pretty well for, well, I don't know what you do with the Tennessee game, but, 4 out of 5 weeks at least. Defense has allowed under 300 yards in 4 of the last 5 games. The exception was Tennessee.
This is one of those amazing lily pads in the journey around talking about the entire league, because there are a whole lot of Kentucky fans who are disappointed with this hot streak. They wanted the Stoop era to be over.
8 wins still on the table, though.
Look what Holly just said. Look what Holly just said in the chat. Post that, because that's important. And you know what? I can't tell you what your ceiling is with Stoops, but I also can't tell you how much better of a replacement they're going to get if you're still going to pay your basketball roster $22 million in NIL money.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
It's a conundrum. It really is. Yeah. And so if the AD is going to accept 6 and 6, and granted, Stoops has built a resume better than that over his decade plus in Lexington. But if they are going to push more chips to basketball by comparison to the rest of the league, then, I mean, that comes with expectations lowered and some allowances, you know? Now, Holly brings up another good point. They need a new EAD. Maybe so. Maybe Holly bringing her A game on a Monday. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. Number 10, LSU. I feel like LSU has been 10 for about 5 straight weeks now. Somebody had to win between LSU and Arkansas, and it was LSU, which did play good defense again. You got to look at Michael Van Buren, and I think there's still potentially some good play on the table for LSU. Let's see. They've got Western Kentucky should be a win, and then Oklahoma on the road. Look, that could be one of those 13-10 type games that anybody can win. And winning those winning 3 out would change the complexion of the season for LSU in a way. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm making too much of it. I mean, I think their mind is on the next coach. So
yes, it is. And the potential of their current quarterback. Yeah. Because Garrett, thank you. We appreciated the effort for coming back, and we had aspirations. The Clemson win was fraudulent. It is what it is. Figure out who Michael Van Buren wants as the next coach that's going to keep him there and let him play.
You know, for as much as this season has been perceived as a disaster, they've only had one bad game. And that was really a bad half against A&M where they just quit. Every other game they have won or been there. Just saying.
They weren't there in Alabama. I mean,
well, okay. I mean, a lot of stuff had to go right in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't over.
Yeah, but you know what? Brian Kelly's a flesh pickle, and they needed to pull that rotten tooth too. So, good riddance. And if I'm a hot shot, if I'm the next Kurt Signetti, that's the job I want. And I say that as an Auburn graduate. That's the job I want.
Number 9, Missouri. People continue to sleep on Missouri. The defense has been phenomenal. Missouri giving up 275 yards and 4.6 points a game. Missouri has allowed more than 400 yards of total offense. In fact, if you want to be exact, more than 350 just twice this year. One was to Auburn. The other one was to A&M. That was 464 to A&M, 357 to Auburn, and clocked Mississippi State thanks to Ahmad Hardy's 300 on the ground.
I don't know you know how these schools put together the year in review video, at least when you have decent years, because Missouri is headed to a Florida Bowl. And Missouri, by all metrics, I mean, if you look at it in the macro, Missouri's now on their 3rd string quarterback and going to be in a New Year's Day Bowl. This is, without question, a success. But it still is going to feel somewhat disappointing because of where they were in the ascension in the first 6 weeks. So, look, and now you're about to have to pony up and give Drinkowitz the farm because his name's getting bandied about at some other jobs too.
Yeah.
And then you're going to, I mean, such a perilous time unless you've got the guy. And there are so few the guys in team pictures. I mean, I mean, you can maybe count them on one hand. So you're now wrestling with, okay, Drink has done all this great stuff, but are we about to break the bank and make him an $11 million a year guy?
Life depending on it is Eli Drinkwitz the coach at Missouri next year or not?
No.
I think I'm with you. I'm not sure where he lands, but just so much talk. And I hope it doesn't happen. I think he's a great fit there. They've been fun to watch. I love having him in the league. I think he's hilarious. But I do wonder. Speaking of wondering, what Tennessee do we get at Florida Saturday? Vols defense gave up 9 points. The numbers weren't great defensively. I think they had another pick six in that one. Tennessee's not been able to run the ball well, and Aguilar's throwing picks, but man, they're just so explosive offensively. It's working anyway.
It is, but I mean, that was comical. I mean, that was a mismatch as soon as each team got off the bus. And Sam, we can address that when we get to a moment when we get done with the rankings. And I can assuredly address Boo Carter because Boo Carter is now in the portal, no longer with the program. Kid from Chattanooga. I wrote this in my morning column. Dude, I don't care where you go. And you need to find yourself a better entourage because you're getting some craptastic advice, son. And I mean that. Tennessee's not even my team, but it is and I wish we could go back and tell our 20-year-old selves that $750,000 is not life-changing money for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You're going to blow through that in a heartbeat. So, I mean, especially when it's $25 at Great Clips for a haircut. So, look, I think Tennessee's going to be better. Addition by subtraction is a real thing. Believe me, I know. Hugh Freeze, example 1A. But I got no idea what Tennessee we see in the swamp.
Yeah. Well, when we pick that one, I'll have some thoughts. And frankly, I don't know where I've settled on that one yet. But I think you're always better off when you have a cancer, getting rid of it as soon as you can. I mean, I don't care if Boo Carter was twice as good as he is. If it's that bad, it's not worth it. And it almost never is.
Almost never. Now, occasionally it is. Like Auburn spending $180,000 for Cam Newton is the greatest purchase since $27 and a whole bunch of
since Louisiana.
Manhattan Island. So,
right.
I mean, yes, 70. I agree with that. It can be life-changing money at 20 if you invest it properly. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Boo's not opening up a 401k. I mean, for God's sake, his name is Boo. Have you met my financial planner, Boo? No, that's not how that works.
Speaking of things that don't make sense, the Texas Longhorns checking into 7. These guys cannot put 2 straight games together, Jay.
Well, and they're crap on the road, which is telling.
That's true.
Is telling about the toughness. And all right, I got to call up my morning column because I referenced this. Did you see what Kirby said in the post game?
No.
All right, I'm just going to read you his quotes. A lot of these kids nowadays, they want a check. They don't want physicality. If you have the check and no physicality, you end up with nothing. We're not just getting checks at our place. We're hitting people. Our kids believe in down and dirty. They believe in the SEAL mantra of let's take them to the water. Let's see who can survive in the water. See who's going to tap out first, ring the bell, and run from the contact contest. Suck on that, Sarkisian, because Kirby just called you out. Your team is soft.
Did you see his reaction after the onside kick? Kirby Smart's. I mean, he
Yes.
was fired up, and the Sarkisian was just kind of sitting there dazed.
And look, if you're going to bring in, you got a whole lot of big dollar talent. It's fitting there in Texas, I guess, because they are the Dallas Cowboys.
They have not put together a complete game yet, other than maybe Sam Houston, which is a bottom five team in the league.
Oklahoma was a complete game.
Well, that's true. I guess. I mean, they had a punt return touchdown in there, so they had 16 offensive points. Which it's Oklahoma. I get it. My point is, they just okay, Sam Houston State, they win at 55-0. I get they suck, but you take care of what you can take of. Then they get a bye week. Then they go to Florida and lose. Then they come back, play their best game of the year against Oklahoma. Then they come up, and they should have lost at Kentucky. Then they should have lost at Mississippi State. Both those went to overtime. Kentucky, they got dominated on the stat sheet. Mississippi State was a little bit more of an even fight. They then come out and give their best half of the season, almost run away from Vanderbilt, darn near lose it at the end, and then get beat 25 in Athens. And by the way, people have had a lot of thoughts about a 3-loss Texas as a playoff team. I think that's here's why you're saying no. I think a 3-loss Texas team with good optics in there, the losses, it's feasible. The problem is the optics that Texas has piled up this year just haven't been good. You get clocked in Georgia. You almost lose those 2 overtime games to bottom half SEC teams. You had the Vanderbilt game, which was good and bad, and then you lose to Florida. Well, here's my point. I think if Texas wins out, which would include a win over Arkansas and a win over A&M, I think there's a world in which there's an argument if the Georgia game had gone differently. If they go down and lose on a field goal in the last play of the game, you're saying, well, hey, they lost a 1-score game at Ohio State. They lost a 1-score game against Texas. And then they lost – who was the other loss? Florida. That's the problem now. You've got a bad loss on your resume, and even some of the games you won don't look great. And, oh, by the way, again, the one chance you had, you could have said, well, hey, we lost to Georgia, but it was close. You don't have that. I think it's going to be tough for them.
I think it's going to be – a 3-loss Texas team is going to need a lot of help. Whoever's playing BYU becomes a Longhorn favorite. A miracle against Notre Dame becomes part of the conversation. You need Georgia Tech or maybe Virginia to win the ACC and something happen along the way for Miami. Because just a 3-loss team with those optics and with that resume doesn't get you in. Because there's going to be there's Atlanta traffic in front of you.
By the way, this is a good time to bring it up. Let's have a Utah conversation as we talk about Vanderbilt, which is our number 6 team. Vanderbilt did not have a good week in the bye week because a lot of stuff Vanderbilt needed to happen to have a path to the playoff did not happen. Not saying they can't get in. And my goodness, this is college football. You never know what is coming week to week. But all the teams kind of around them won. Oklahoma, that win really hurt Vanderbilt. Southern Cal beat Iowa. That hurt. BYU and Utah playing well. Those things hurt. I think you could see Vanderbilt. I don't know if they'll slip down the rankings this week, but the path got tougher. They're going to be doing a lot of scoreboard watching. If they win out, got a chance to get there anyway. But the problem is you've got Utah now has its AD on the committee. Look, I think Utah's a good team, but it's the whole question about earning it versus how good you are. Utah's win so far at UCLA, Cal Poly, at Wyoming, at West Virginia, Arizona State, Colorado.
State without their quarterback, right?
What's that?
I think Arizona State played without their quarterback.
Against Utah?
Yes.
I don't remember. But point is, that, like, you lost big to Texas Tech. That was in your yard. And you lost to BYU. So, yeah, but they're probably going to be ahead of Vanderbilt and some other teams in the rankings this week. They were last week. So, going to be interested to scoreboard watch. But I looked up their resume. Like, it's going to be interesting. And Vanderbilt's is not as good as it looked. Like if you say before the season, okay, here's their wins, they're not as impressive. Some of those teams didn't turn out as good. But I think better resume there than Utah. But that's not carrying the day with the rankings so far. So anyway, a lot of scoreboard watching for Vanderbilt. Other item for Vanderbilt, they got to get that defense better. Let's see. 486 to Alabama, 325 to LSU, 376 to Missouri, 428 to Texas, 563 to Auburn. I think the bye week will probably benefit them, but we will see. Next up for them is Kentucky. We've got number 5, Alabama. Holy smokes, did one loss make them drop a good bit because of the teams around them? And now Alabama, Eastern Illinois, just take care of business there. And then a 4-year season game against Auburn.
That was disappointing. But look, Oklahoma went there and took it from them. So went there and, I'll save that. I am befuddled by how poorly Alabama runs the football with that many NFL dudes on an offensive line. And I'm not just talking about Oklahoma deserves all its flowers because its front seven is dynamic. But this is not the only week that Alabama has struggled to run the football with potential NFL backs and at least 2, if not 3, NFL offensive linemen.
Yeah, I mean, that just to me is a complete mystery. Again, I've been saying for a few years, I don't think that the backs they're bringing in match up to what they were getting in Saban's heyday. And look, nobody can do that anymore. But their guys just look pretty ordinary to me. Yards per rushing play, taking sacks out of it the last few weeks. Let's see. You go back to Missouri, 3.8, Tennessee, 3.8, South Carolina, 3.9, LSU, 2.6, Oklahoma, 3 flat. Have not had a game in which they average above 4 yards a carry rushing the last 5 games, taking sacks out of it.
And I don't know if that is scheme, talent, desire. I mean, could be all. But when you ask your quarterback to do that much on every single drive, it really puts you in a difficult spot.
Yeah. I think that Auburn game is going to be a dandy. 2 weeks away, but circle that one is kind of appointment TV, which, I mean, the Iron Bowl, let's face it, it's always that anyway. Before we get to our top 4, reminder, we're brought to you by Yearly Company, a Nashville-based fine jewelry brand built on tradition, designed for meeting, each piece handcrafted from solid 14-karat gold, natural gemstones made to measure for a perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every Yearly Company bangle is custom sized, so knowing your size is the most important first step before ordering. That's where the sizing kit comes in. Code SE16KIT, K-I-T, gets you 100% off. That's free of the sizing kit once you go to checkout. Also brought to you by ROKFORM, the world's strongest magnetic phone case. Don't throw your phone. Don't drop your phone. But if you do, and you got it protected by ROKFORM, you'd probably be okay. I know this from experience. Extreme protection, super strong magnets, Rock Lock secure mounting, SEC 25. Get you 25% off your entire order. And help those who help the show get the vent clip and the case, and thank us for that later. Jay Greeson, we are now at number 4. And that is the Oklahoma Sooners, who got new life with their season. Oklahoma is a flawed team, but that defense is so good, Oklahoma can beat anybody on any day. I think that was the first loss for Alabama in the league since 2019 at home, which is crazy. You're muted.
Technology, man. No wonder Great Clips charges me $25 for a haircut. Technology. I'm real curious to see the hot seat meter on one Kalen DeBoer if the Iron Bowl goes crooked.
Yep. Likewise. What do we got on Oklahoma, though? That's what started this conversation.
Same thing I said Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. I forget. I mean, they all kind of blend together. I do not believe Oklahoma is the best team in the SEC, but I believe they may be the toughest. And in that regard, there, you're going to be, hey, Kirby ain't saying what he said if they play Oklahoma after what he said when they just manhandled Texas in the final 20 minutes. Because you don't do that. Oklahoma, they will fight. And I'm real curious to the guys sticking around with us here in the chat, because we do this for y'all. Would you rather your team be uber talented or uber tough? Because I'm leaning towards tough, to be honest. And Oklahoma is that. They are tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you're down at home with all the pressure in the world, and you're a head coach in September. You're down with 5 minutes to go to an Auburn team at that point was undefeated and ranked, and you handle your business. The mulligan or the inexplicable result against Ole Miss aside, the Texas game is explainable, but Oklahoma finds a way to win.
Okay, let's go back and look at the preseason AP Top 25. Texas, number 1. We just talked about how Kirby Smart essentially called out Texas for not being tough. Penn State, number 2. You lose that Oregon game, the season falls apart. Ohio State at 3. I would say they've checked the toughness box. Clemson at 4. Goodness gracious. I'd forgotten how many top 5 teams we had that have been out of the discussion for a while. Yeah.
Softer than Sharman.
Yeah.
I mean,
Georgia, number 5, tough. Notre Dame, number 6, tough. Oregon, number 7, I think so too. Alabama at 8, I think it is, but that was a weird game. But yeah, I mean, to prove your point, you got a lot of teams in here that just have folded at the first signs of adversity. And to your point, you might better be tough. You might be better off being tough than talented at this point.
And I think Alabama is kind of tough, but the testament to tough is walking into Tuscaloosa and taking it, because that's what Oklahoma did. It wasn't so much about winning the game. They took the game. They just said, all right, come here, little boy. I'm taking your candy. And I don't advise that except on Halloween. If you want to steal some candy on Halloween, I'm okay with it. But don't be the guy that's saying, hey, come here, little boy, do you want some candy? That's going to get you in trouble, especially if you drive a windowless van. I'm just telling you, this is life advice from your Uncle Jay.
Oklahoma has not had 400 yards of total offense from week 4 on.
And they're in the playoff picture.
Yeah. Now, here's the interesting thing. Oklahoma's given up over 400 each of the last 3 weeks. Now, the offenses they faced at Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Alabama. So there's that. But, hey, toughness is what won them the game, that turnovers and the kicking game. And we talked a bit about the kicking game already on the recap, so won't go there again. Speaking of tough, Kewan Lacey, man, that guy got tough yards all night against Florida.
They better not lose the Egg Bowl, because that schedule is not overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I think a 2-loss Ole Miss team, I think they get in, but it could get a little interesting. I don't think they're losing the Egg Bowl, though.
The teams behind them on this list need them to win the Egg Bowl, because if Ole Miss is in the mix as a 2-loss team, the SEC chances of getting 5 go down to 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because, look, Ole Miss will have one, they got the tiebreaker over Oklahoma. And they're not going to have the name power of a 2-loss Alabama. And that's going to leave Vandy on the outside looking in, and every Florida Bowl ever is going to be coveting Vandy.
In a year where consistency is hard to come by, Ole Miss has been over 400 yards of total offense in every game except for one, that Georgia, when they gained at 351 and put up 35 points. So hats off to Ole Miss, 538 yards against what's a pretty talented Florida defense in that one. Number 2, Georgia. I think I was the lone one to vote Georgia at 1. I just feel right now I've got more confidence in them to win than anybody. Did go back and forth a little bit, and as you figured out, Texas A&M is 1. But we could see these two teams in the SEC title game, Jay Greeson.
We could, and it would feel fitting, right?
Yes.
And look, I've been wrong about a whole lot of things. But I saw the Georgia curve before Mississippi State, and I am a believer. Look, I've said since the summer that there's just something about Kirby Smart's comments and quiet confidence that he believes he's got a collection of dudes there. We didn't know them because they had to replace so many draftable dudes, but now this collection of Georgia Bulldogs, man, they're tough too. I honestly think and you can't take resume out of it because the Red River happened. Oklahoma and Texas are playing as well as anybody.
Oklahoma is right.
Oklahoma and Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way Georgia continues to defend the run. Now, look, some of the teams they're playing lately, Mississippi State, Texas, not exactly renowned for running the football, but they are salty on that side of the ball. And like you said, Kirby Smart has got them playing well at exactly the right time.
Kirby's won nationally, right? Kirby.
That?
It's now Kirby and then like a huge drop off to any other coach in the conversation, including Ryan Day.
Yeah, I think so too. I think right now, check FanDuel. Who's got the best national title odds of any SEC team? It's got to be Georgia, right?
No, it's Ohio State.
Of SEC teams.
Oh, okay. Well, I got to pull up my.
And I guess of all teams, Indiana would be 2.
You start with Ohio State because their path is easier. Because, look, we know that Georgia's got a losable game against Georgia Tech. And then if you don't play well in the SEC championship game, it is Texas A&M has the best odds at plus 800 to win the national championship among any SEC team. Georgia is 5th at plus 1,100. And the one that will blow your hair back, Notre Dame is 4th.
Yeah.
And you were right, 1 and 2. I mean, Ohio State's like plus 185 chalk, and that's a low number at this juncture.
I feel like there might be some value in Georgia. And look, I would take the Big Ten to win this whole thing, to be fair. But if you're going to back an SEC team, I think it needs to be Georgia.
I agree with that.
Yeah, maybe overreacting there to a bad half by A&M. I don't know. But
if we're going to talk about value, the rest of the SEC, Alabama plus 1,500, no thanks. Ole Miss plus 1,700, no thanks. I would take value here. Oklahoma is plus 3,000 to win the national championship.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, if you got a script to win every game 13-10, there's a path.
Vandy Dandy asks about Texas Tech plus 1,400 to win it all.
Yeah. Who was Tech's one loss? Oh, they lost to Arizona State in that weird game.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, Jay Greeson. I think we're done for
let's
the day.
give A&M their flowers because
yeah. Only unbeaten left.
We have not. Look, we were talking about the indifference of Beamer on the sideline. The intensity of Mike Elko walking off the field. It's like the first time I've seen a halftime interview show me something. Elko was livid. And it could have been real easy for A&M and those players to say, you know what? We're unbeaten. We've got a mulligan. Let's just – this hadn't been our day. No, they went and took it. Because, yes, Marcel Reed played terribly in the first half. So – but he didn't get a whole lot of help either. I mean, you and I talked about it in the recap show Saturday afternoon. There were not only a multitude of drops, but terribly timed and critical drops.
Yeah.
Including the Concepcion one that would have been a touchdown. The next pass got picked off.
Hit him in the hands. Yeah. In the goal line or across the goal line.
Look, the fortitude to believe that you're always in a game, even down 30-3, and to then make the other team feel like it's still a game at 30-10 is a skill set. That's not happenstance. That is championship DNA. And that's why I voted A&M won. Do I think they're going to win it? I don't know. There have been too many close calls against mid-competition, including Auburn, which you dominate the game like 450 yards to 160. And this one, the most recent one, but you got a chance to flex and grab the 2 seed by going and handle your business against your arch rival.
Yeah, they're 4-0 in one-score games. I mean, if a game becomes a game where it's not supposed to be a game, which is what is exactly the scenario for the South Carolina game. What is usually the formula for a game that none of us think is going to be a game to be a game?
Turnovers.
Yeah, and guess what? A&M turned it over more than it had all year. I think A&M had only had one game with more than one turnover all year. That was LSU. And by the way, we tend to put our focus on the last thing we saw, which that was Saturday, the good, the bad, the ugly. But let's not forget that win against Missouri in Columbia was super impressive.
Yes.
You just saw how demoralized Eli Drink was, which was after that one. And then LSU, 49-25 in Baton Rouge. You just dominated the second half. So some of that is LSU quitting. But also let's give the Aggies their flowers for kind of breaking their will there too. And how odd is it, by the way, that, they come off those 3 road games in a row in the league and then kind of back home for the first time in a while. That's kind of where they laid their egg.
There was probably a whole lot of complacency and overconfidence coming into this. And I'm certain, and it was clear that Elko fixed that at halftime. But every team I've ever been a part of, coaches can lead the narrative. Players have to lead the locker room. And the Aggies have that. And it was clear with the way Marcel Reed spoke to his teammates on the sideline, and they rallied around a guy who had put them almost single-handedly into that 30-3 hole. And they rallied around him. There wasn't calls for replacement. There wasn't boos from the crowd. This was, all right, we played like crap. Now, go play like champions. And they did. They answered the bell and broke South Carolina's spirit. And as much as I believe that is fair, if you're a South Carolina fan, to blame that on Beamer, you also have to tip your visor to A&M for staying in the moment and grabbing it.
Yeah, well, we had the discussion about toughness a minute ago. For Marcel Reed to come back playing in front of 100,000 plus after just an awful first half against a defense that's got some dudes, NFL dudes on it, and have that kind of half says a lot about what's between that kid's ears.
And the belief he has in the locker room, because everybody else played better too and followed his lead.
Yeah. All right, Jay, we've got to run to get to previews, which we're going to have those for all the SEC on FBS games this week. We're not going to do it if your team's playing an FCS team, so sorry about that. Not a lot of drama with those. But anyway, enjoyed the power rankings. We had basketball power rankings this morning. Hope you caught those. Previews coming, reaction coming this weekend, all the stuff that you like at the channel. If you don't mind, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That helps us out. For Jay Greeson, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you guys. Have a great rest of your week. You're watching Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel.